Welcome, everybody, to MGT569, the Leadership Challenge. I'm Dr. Hetty Bryant, and I'll be your subject coordinator for this subject. First of all, before we get started, I thought I'd just give you a little bit of a background about myself. I'll go over the learning objectives again, and I'll just do a very brief overview of the subject. So, for those of you who are new to study or may not have had me before, I'll just give you a bit of a brief background about myself. I have been at CSU since the beginning of 2003, actually, which seems like a very long time. For my first 15 years or 14 years at CSU, I was actually working in the professional stream, and I was responsible for coordinating leadership development programs, organisational change in various different capacities. So it was a really organisational development, building capacity role, underpinned by using facilitation. And so then I decided I'd do my Doctor of Communication, and that was focused on my facilitating of organisational change within the university. And so I moved over to, and then just towards the end, the last 2 years that I was in a professional capacity, I was the manager of diversity and equity at Charles Sturt, and during that time I was also started to coordinate and facilitate the staff for leading and emerging female leaders at CSU, the Leadership for Women program. And then I started lecturing in 2016 when I was still working in the professional stream, and I've been fully in the lecturing stream since the beginning of 17 now, so it's just over 2 years. Before I came to Charles Sturt University, though, I had quite a varied career. I mostly worked because my first degree was in agriculture, I worked in natural resource management and primary industry, specifically in vertebrate pest research and also in exotic animal disease preparedness. And I also was responsible just before I came to CSU for coordinating the establishment of the Australian Wildlife Health Network. And I also, for 5 years, worked in catchment management and land care. So that was using my second degree, which was a Master's of Environmental Management. So I come with a really diverse background. I've also had quite a long experience working on boards, so I don't know, 18 years, 19 years working on boards, most recently the chair of an ecological learning centre in Bathurst, which I've just finished up at because I've moved to the far north coast to become a little bit warmer. So I think it's important that you actually get some sort of a background as to me, because I probably aren't most of us who are lecturing don't come just from that lecturing teaching stream, although having said that, I've done a lot of work in teaching and facilitation, and we come with an industry background and a diverse background, and I think that's really important because in this particular subject, the Leadership Challenge, you are required to locate yourself in the second assessment. You're actually required to actually really see who you are and where you came from, and to locate yourself in either your leadership practice or your management practice, which is ever at the foreground of your practice. Some of you are mostly studying leadership, others are studying business administration, others are studying communications, others commerce, etc. So it's really important that you can locate your leadership in those particular areas. So I'll just get on and just cover the learning objectives. So, as I've said, identify and discuss individual leadership capacity That's the first learning objective. Critically engage in discussions reflecting leadership practice and learning about leadership practice through personal context. So that's locating yourself, but the critical engagement is really important as well. And I'm not wishing to scare people off, particularly if you're new to this subject. So there will be a lot of support for people who are new to academia. I'm getting our academic support people to actually assist you as well. I'll say some more about that in our notices. It's really important that you start to build a theoretical framework for the practice of leadership. So there'll be quite a bit of theory in this subject, and I'll admit that the text by Raylan, Leadership as Practice, there's a lot of research in there. So it's really my job to distill that and to translate that for you. So I'll do that as to the best of ability that I can. But the most important part of that is, so we actually critically engage, we reflect, we look at our theories, etc. But the most important part of this is that we can put into practice learning about self and leadership and how this translates in the context of your relationships, both in your work and in society, with community, etc. So it's really about, it's not just about research and theory, it's also about application. So you will be required to apply this. So the outcomes of this particular subject, at the end of it, you'll have a blueprint for your leadership learning journey. And I'll facilitate that process so that you actually can actually identify how you articulate that leadership blueprint too. And that blueprint might serve you for the next 6 months, it might serve you for the next 2 years, it might serve you as you're going through your course. You might want to gaze much more further than that and think about your leadership learning journey beyond that as well. The first assessment really is important because it's looking at your personality. So I'm urging you to hop online as soon as after you've looked at this welcome video, hop online and start to look at some personality assessment tests. And because you'll need to do one of these for your first assessment. So I'm just giving you the nod for that. Also, we start the session on the 15th of July. So I'll be available for consultation, etc. from the 15th of July, and I'll just put my contact details there. It's always preferable to email me. I am a casual sessional lecturer, so I am trying not to work full-time. When you email me, I will respond to you within at least 3 days, if not less, okay? I also have a discussion assessment forum where you can put questions up about assessment. And I urge you to, if you've been studying for a while and you have some ideas if there's a question asked, I really am fostering a relational, collegial environment. This is about leadership as practice. So it's about relationships. It's about the practice of leadership. It's not just about you being an individual leader and showing up as a leader. It's about you showing up in relationship with others. So it's really important we establish a learning community. So if you've got the answers to questions, answer them. I will also moderate and hop in there as well. If you need to call me, I will be available on Mondays between 10 and 12. Most Thursdays I will as well, although the last Thursday of July and the first Thursday of August I won't be available because I'll be travelling for a conference and for our Leadership for Women program. So I hope you enjoy this subject. I'm really looking forward to learning and being on this leadership learning journey with you. And yes, as I said, welcome, and just have a really good look and a navigation around the subject. And I'm looking forward to engaging with you from the 15th of July. Cheers.